Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the Online Series 11 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. In the last episode, we used a really fun team featuring Zygarde, and if you have not seen those games, I'd highly recommend it because they were some of the best I think I've ever had with Zygarde. So we'll be playing a couple more matches with the team today. Details are in the description below, and let's just get started. For the first game of the day, we're up against a Zacian team, and so this is where I think Volcarona can be very, very handy for us because of Will-O-Wisp as well as Rage Powder. So I generally like Volcarona. Zygarde's actually really interesting here, I think, because Thousand Arrows is super good into Thundurus, Rotom, Celesteela. So I like those. I was like Grimmsnarl is pretty intriguing for Trick early game here. Like, I'm thinking Grimmsnarl, Volk, Zygarde. Zapdos is an okay max option, but it's really weak into Rotom, and I'm also nervous about Eerie Impulse for my opponent, and I think Metagross is just such a good max option into Zygarde. Into Zacian, not Zygarde. And because we have Max Lightning on this, we can actually hit Celesteela as well. I guess the awkward thing here is dealing with Rotom might actually be a little bit more difficult, but that's why I'm prioritizing the Grimmsnarl, because if they lead Rotom, I can just trick Lagging Tail onto it immediately. That's pretty valuable. So, yeah. Thanks so much as always for watching Road to Rank. If you enjoyed, please show your support by leaving a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. And question of the day, kind of inspired by us using Zygarde, I'm curious what restricted Pokemon you think are currently slept on in Series 11. You know, you obviously see a lot of things like Zacian, like Kyogre, Groudon, Calyrex, Ice Rider, Shadow Rider, for example. But yeah, I think Pokemon like Zygarde, Reshiram, Zamazenta are all really intriguing to me. So it's gonna be Grimmsnarl and Celesteela. Okay. This is definitely interesting. Do I want to commit my trick this early on? Not the lead I was expecting. I honestly didn't expect to see Celesteela this early on. They could fake out Max Rockfall. I think Celesteela is pretty weak here if they don't Dynamax, so I'm down to go for a trick onto it. And just Heat Wave on turn 1, I think. Let's see if they end up committing a Dynamax. Okay, they are going to Dynamax. Very interesting. I honestly thought Rotom Heat would be the best max option from their end, but I think Celesteela makes a lot of sense because Rotom Heat's obviously substantially weaker into Zygarde and can't really do much into Zygarde at all. Whereas, like, this lead would have done quite well into a Zygarde lead from my end. So, okay, that makes sense. I'm going to max. This is already a good start, right? The fact that I get a trick off. I'm just curious if it's a Solvest here. Nope, it's leftovers. Okay, cool. And we get some pretty free damage off as well, so I'll take that. Okay, they're going to go for Max Steel Spike here, meaning I won't get screens up, but it gives me a free switching now. Oh, that doesn't even KO. Wow. But given that Grimmsnarl didn't go for, like, priority attack, I'm sure it's a Spirit Break and a Grimmsnarl here as well. Okay, so I get a defense boost on both. And they're just going to Spirit Break. Oh, interesting. They target Volcarona. Wow. Okay. That works out really well for us, I'd say, especially because Flame Body even activates. Wow. So that's really the dream. Okay. We end up, like, not even losing a Pokemon on turn 1. We get a lot of information out from my opponent's end. I steal the leftovers away, and both of my Pokemon miraculously survive. I think it's better to set up a Reflect right now, just because obviously my opponent is going to have Zacian in the back. I would just be shocked if they didn't bring it. And I honestly don't mind switching Volk out into Metagross right now, I think. Actually, alternatively, we can just Protect, right? The main reason to switch out is to get rid of this special attack drop. So I can come in and, like, even potentially max Volcarona. I know that seems kind of odd, but given let my opponent committed, yeah, committed this early on, I'm actually fine to go for Reflect and switch out, I think. Yeah, I'm happy about that. The defense boosts aren't that scary when we have Volcarona, right? So, like, we have a bunch of different approaches. We could try to stall out my opponent's Dynamax. That's certainly one viable option. But getting Reflect up is valuable. Even if this is Special Celesteela, like, that's okay. I'd rather have Reflect up for the late game against Zacian. Okay, they're going to go for their own Light Screen. Makes sense. So we've seen Spirit Break, Light Screen. Those are as standard as it gets. And another Max Steel Spike. Cool. Now, they will get a defense boost and a beast boost as well, so this Celesteela is getting a little bit scary, but that's okay. The main thing is that they don't have recovery, right, because we stole the leftovers away, which is actually really, really important for us right now. See what beast boost they get. Special defense boost. Very interesting. Okay, so it is a pretty defensive Celesteela. I wouldn't be surprised if it were Leech Seed as well, and they're just like trying to set it up as quickly as possible. My only fear here is that they're actually Trick on the Grimmsnarl, but I think it's relatively unlikely. Okay, I'll bring out Zygarde now. We can actually start coiling up with this. Like, I can get Zygarde a +2 defense immediately this turn, which I think is kind of cool. So I am going to coil, and I'm going to max and Steel Spike into Grimmsnarl. This gives me a defense boost, and then coil gives me an attack boost and a defense boost, and we have Reflect Up, so suddenly I'm a lot less scared about the Zacian in the back. I think the annoying thing right now for my opponent is that their Celesteela can just, like, you know, they're already at +2 defense, +1 special defense, so it's rather bulky, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was actually, like, Leech Seed. They go for Reflect. Okay, yeah, that's fine. The good thing right now is that we have the Dynamax advantage, right? So, and I think now we have set ourselves up for success with this late game Zygarde. Okay. Steel Spike here should still get the knockout even with Reflect Up, I think. Yeah. Cool. Granted, actually, Grimmsnarl had a couple defense boosts there as well, so I'm glad we were actually able to pick up that knockout, but they were only around 50%, right? So, yeah. And it's going to be a third Steel Spike here. Yep. Into Zygarde. Okay. I guess what's interesting now is if I'm in KO range from a play rough, potentially. Like, we have +2 defense and Reflect Up, so I would honestly be a little bit surprised if it KO'd, but to play it safe, it's probably better to just protect Zygarde this next turn and then just Steel Spike. Oh, their last one is Gastrodon. Okay. Gastrodon makes a lot of sense here. It's actually a pretty powerful Pokemon for them to have in the back here. And it's smart they bring that in first. I'm going to protect here, and then go for a Max Quake, because I want to survive Gastrodon's attacks right now. I think Celesteela is probably Leech Seed, honestly, in this case. So that's a really interesting max option, but it's a very smart strategy, honestly, going into this one. Their idea was to just get defense boost as quickly as possible. Okay. Maybe I could have just attacked with Zygarde there, but I don't mind stalling it out for a little bit longer. It's pretty good damage from Max Quake, honestly, so I'll take that as well. Okay. Gastrodon just goes for Recover. Okay, that's a smart play. I'm okay with that, though, generally. Also, they're faster than their Celesteela, which is interesting, and it is Leech Seed. Cool, and they Leech Seed into Zygarde. So now, knowing that your Gastrodon's faster than Celesteela, I don't even have to worry about an Ice Beam, so this is the perfect opportunity to set up a substitute. And now I actually do want to deal with Celesteela a little bit better, so I am going to max Lightning into the Celesteela to set up the electric terrain, so then I can Thunder Punch Celesteela the next turn. Perfect. This is an amazing turn for us. So it's Recover and Protect. I wonder if they even have Ice Beam then, but either way, we get Substitute up. Does Leftovers put us in range where we don't transform anymore? I actually have no idea right now. And this is exactly why having Max Lightning is so nice. Granted, we don't do very much damage, but that's fine. We set up the electric terrain, and this allows us to just, you know, get better damage off with Thunder Punch later on. So, see if Celesteela opted for a Leech Seed. Beautiful. And this is exactly where Substitute is so nice for us. That does heal us just by 1 HP, over 50%. Wow. So that's a little unfortunate, but that's okay. I've got one turn of Reflect left. They're at +3 defense. I'm at +1 attack. I could coil, but honestly I'm fine just going for 1,000 arrows and a Thunder Punch right now. I kind of want to just start getting damage on the board. And then next turn, like, ideally we don't KO Celesteela this turn, but then the Celesteela is in KO range from Thunder Punch. Oh, it is so bulky though, I don't even know if it will be. Okay. Get Thunder Punch off. That's pretty good damage. Okay, I'll take it. They're gonna commit Earth Power here. Okay, does that even KO? Probably, with the special defense drop. It does not. Okay, they do correctly Leech Seed the Metagross here. So you would think Celesteela protects next turn, but this is where it's so interesting now with Zygarde, because I can just keep coiling up, so yeah. I did not expect to see like Leech Seed leftovers, Celesteela Dynamaxing on turn 1. I think that's very intriguing. But I think here we can just switch Metagross out into Volcarona, and I'm just going to start coiling more and more. Because at this point, I'm guessing, actually the one risky play, like in doing this, Gastrodon could just Scald the Metagross slot. That's actually a little bit scary. But I actually am pretty confident in Zygarde's ability just like to win this game 1v3. So even if we lose Volcarona, it's not the end of the world. But what I don't want to do is stay in and then eat up a, like let Celesteela protect, heal from Leech Seed, and then also eat up a free attack, free Earth Power into that slot. So I'm okay switching out here because I'm not even sure Scald's guaranteed a knockout here. They smartly don't protect with Celesteela though, okay. But yeah, I think this is Zygarde's time to shine because I think he can get all these boosts and actually stall out my opponent's screens as well. Okay, they commit Earth Power rather than Scald. That's good to see. Beautiful. We take that pretty well. And it's Flamethrower as well. Okay. But that does not KO us. Perfect. Okay, that's amazing. I think this puts us in a really commanding position because we get Volcarona in for free. So let's just double check the field state. They've got 3 turns of Reflect left. We are at +2 attack, +3 defense. I honestly think it's fine to just coil and protect right now. Like, all we want to do is just stall out their turns of screens, and there's no reason to, like, play aggressively right now, I say. Of course, my opponent can knock out my sub. Like, you can double up onto the Zygarde with an Earth Power and a Leech Seed, but even if you do that, like, it's fine. Leech Seed isn't that scary right now when you don't have leftovers on Celesteela, in my opinion. So I'm so glad we stole that away on turn 1. Okay, and I totally, of course Gastrodon was going to outspeed Celesteela because we had the lagging tail onto it. I had totally just forgotten about that earlier on. It's kind of funny. Okay, great read by them. They do end up doubling here, I think. But like I said, even with this, it's totally okay. I don't mind. So let's see if they hit the Leech Seed. Oh, they don't go for Leech Seed. They go for Flash Cannon. Oh, that's actually a really big mistake, I think, because this now should activate my complete form. Yeah, this time it does. Okay, beautiful. That's awesome. That is very, very good news for us. Great read. But I think now I feel very good about our position. Unless they have like a secret Ice Beam on this Gastrodon, but that would be surprising. +3 attack, +4 defense. Okay. Could keep coiling. I mean, I do think Celesteela probably protects here. Like, if I were my opponent, I would protect Celesteela because you just baited out the Volcarona protect, and then you could switch out. I'm fine going for 1,000 arrows here, honestly. And a Heat Wave. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So we are just going to get the Heat Wave off. We're not going to KO Celesteela, but 1,000 arrows will finish it off. Beautiful. The only thing I'm nervous about right now is getting crit by Zygarde. If we don't get crit, we should win the game. Not Zygarde, Zacian. But we've set our Zygarde up for success so well in this game, which is amazing. Okay. Berry from Gastrodon, that's fine. Celesteela never protected, which is interesting. And they're finally going to go for Scald. Cool. So no Ice Beam on the Gastrodon either, which is really important. It's Earth Power, Scald, Protect, and Recover. We've also gotten rid of their Berry. Zygarde heals back more. Now, with Zacian, you could, of course, go for Sacred Sword. That would ignore defense boosts, but I'm totally okay with that. Doesn't really matter, and I think we still have this Metagross, which is relatively healthy as well, and it can just Stomping Tantrum into my opponent's Zacian as well. So, things are looking quite good for us at this point. I'm sure Zacian is my opponent's last Pokemon. There it is. This is just exactly why, like, you can have like long drawn out games with Zygarde. The only scary thing about, you know, position like this is worrying about critical hits, but we're at +3 attack, +4 defense. It's their last turn of Reflect. I'm fine just going for 1,000 arrows here, truthfully, and then a Stomping Tantrum into the Gastrodon slot. I think at this point we're just hoping to avoid a critical hit. If you're my opponent, you could also protect Gastrodon. Okay, they just go for Sacred Sword. Yeah, and that doesn't even do more than like half of the HP that we had at the moment. Nice. Okay, and that's game over because they didn't protect Gastrodon. They were bulky enough to survive thanks to the Reflect, so, you know, with Zygarde, it doesn't necessarily mean just because you get all these boosts, it's like a free win, right? Zygarde does not deal very much damage, even with a couple of coil boosts, but the main thing is that we also don't take very much damage, and this is probably one of the best users of leftovers I've seen in Series 11, so yeah, we can just 1,000 Arrows and Stomping now and close out the game. And that was a really fun one. You know, I think that we've used some really fast-paced teams on Road to Ranked, especially in Series 11, and this is very different from that. It's super slow in the sense that you are going to often struggle to pick up one-hit KOs, but that's okay because you can often just out-bulk your opponent, and you have so much bulk between screens on Grimmsnarl, and then, yeah, Metagross, like, being able to boost your Pokemon's defense and special defense as well. So, yeah. I don't think I would have played this game any differently. I obviously forgot about the lagging tail for one turn against the Celesteela, which was kind of funny, but I don't think that really would have made a difference. I think I would have still made the same play that turn. And ultimately, by not going for Leech Seed, or not getting Leech Seed off at any point from Celesteela, other than that one turn onto Metagross, like, they weren't able to heal very much. So, even though they gave Celesteela all these boosts, ultimately we had more offense than they did, and, like, you know, Zygarde was able to just boost up relatively free while not worrying about much damage from my opponent's end, right? Like, Grimmsnarl, Gastrodon, Celesteela, it's an incredibly defensive core. They didn't have Yawn on Gastrodon, they didn't have Ice Beam on the Gastrodon. We were able to eliminate the Grimmsnarl before it could, like, get a Spirit Break onto our Zygarde, so this was an amazing Zygarde, like, 1v4 kind of match, honestly. So, that was a really long one, but a fun one as well. So, let's just look for another game. Alright, this next match, and we're actually up against rank number 13, and they're using a Necrozma Dusk Mane team, which is so cool. Literally, you know, relevant to the question of the day, so I'm excited to see this one. Okay. They've got Tapu Fini, so burning with Will-O-Wisp will be more difficult. That would be really valuable if we'd actually get it off. We've got Foul Play, Eerie Impulse on Porygon 2, which I feel like is a really good tool for us here. Getting Lagging Tail, though, would be so valuable onto any of my opponent's Dynamax threats. Zapdos is not a bad max option, but I'm really nervous because of the potential Eerie Impulse from Thundurus. Could just see something like a Torkoal Venusaur lead. That could be scary. As always, you have to respect Sleep Powder. I think because they don't have any Fake Out users, like, we do basically get a guaranteed Trick turn 1 if we want it. So I like leading with the Grimmsnarl. All of our Pokemon are good here, so I don't know who to drop. That's always a good problem to have, but... Okay, I'm going to play defensively early. Grim Porygon, Zygarde. And I really need like a super strong max option here. Okay, I'm going to go for Metagross. I like Metagross just because with the Solvez, we can tank attacks from Venusaur, and dealing with Torkoal won't be that difficult because we have Eerie Impulse on Porygon. So this also might just be a very long and drawn-out game, honestly. But that's okay. It should be exciting. Generally here, I think that all of our Pokemon you could like make a good argument for, and it's just going to be Landorus and Thundurus. Okay. How do I feel about this? It's a pretty free Reflect. I mean, do you Dynamax either Pokemon on turn 1? Because I don't necessarily want a Trick if we don't need to. Like, I don't mind starting the game off with a Reflect here and then going for a Foul Play just onto a Landorus slot. If they Dynamax Landorus, I'm actually honestly like totally okay with that. Or Dynamax Thundurus here, but I could see Taunt. Foul Play punishes a Swords Dance, which is the main thing I want to cover for here. Yep, so there's Taunt. And if they just U-turn out, sure. I guess you could U-turn into Fini, which would be annoying, but that's fine. There's Reflect. And there's Earthquake. Okay. Honestly, I think this is a pretty good turn 1 for us. I mean, like, getting a Foul Play off into Landorus is valuable. It's really good damage, so is it Choice Banded? Not sure, actually. Foul Play is very close to a 2-hit KO. Okay, now what do I want to do? I think it's fine to just Light Screen and Foul Play here. And then I could actually potentially switch Grimmsnarl out next turn into Zygarde. Because I think if you're my opponent, you just EQ and Thunderbolt right now. Oh, Volt Switch, okay. That's a crit. I don't love that. But I don't... If EQ finishes us off, that's actually really frustrating because it means I don't get my trick off. Fini and Necrozma is the last two make the most sense to me. Yeah, there's Fini. Okay. Now, Fini looks scary, but because we have Eerie Impulse, I'm not that worried about it. We can just keep Eerie Impulsing it until we can't do anything. One thing to also anticipate here... Okay, they're not Choice Banded. EQ just did more than I expected. Okay, pretty good damage from U-turn, but fortunately we survived the turn despite the crit from Volt Switch. Volt Switch is pretty cool. I haven't seen that on Thundurus in quite a while. And Thundurus comes back out. Okay. So the thing is, right now my opponent does not have much damage into Porygon, which is nice. I think Fini now probably starts Calm Minding. And I still have a turn of Taunt here right now. I could go for the Trick right now onto the Tapu Fini. Like, I just really want to save this for Necrozma if I can. But maybe it's fine. It also steals away an item from Fini, which I feel like is generally valuable, so yeah, I'm okay with that. They go for Eerie Impulse on a Porygon. Okay. I'll take that. We don't even actually have any special attacks. It's just foul play. Okay, so we steal Fini's item here. What's it gonna be? Leftovers? Yeah. And they just Moonblast. Cool, that works for me. I was thinking about a switch into Metagross there. I feel like that's honestly pretty strong, but it's fine. I think having Foul Play right now is super good. Like, I don't think their Necrozma is actually that scary right now, thanks to Foul Play Porygon, which is super, super nice for us, and their Citrus Berry, yeah. I can just bring in Zygarde right now, honestly. Taunt wears off as well. I feel like it's probably better to go into Metagross first. I mean, Zygarde's just nice because it's a free 1,000 arrows onto anything. Okay, I'm actually going to bring it out. I guess the only risk in bringing it out right now is that I can get crit by Moonblast, but we have Light Screen up, so I should take a, be able to take it okay. And Thundurus is kind of a pain thanks to Taunt. Although I guess it really doesn't do that much into us. Maybe they taunt the Zygarde here, but I'm down to just 1,000 arrows right now and go for an Eerie Impulse onto Fini. I keep, clicking Foul Play now, so I think there's less incentive to taunt into the Porygon slot, and yep, that's exactly the case. Beautiful. So they're going to get it into Zygarde, but that's fine. We are going to get 1,000 arrows off. Doesn't knock out the Thundurus, but that's fine. Foul Play wouldn't have finished it off anyway. And now it's like neither of your Pokemon really deal that much damage into Zygarde, right? And you don't have infinite recovery with Thundurus. Whereas I have better recovery thanks to Recover. It's going to be a Calm Mind, okay. Calm Mind is fine because I can just keep dropping your special attack. This is actually where getting the Trick on and liking Taunt is actually really valuable. So I will just go for another 1,000 arrows here. I guess this time around they can just go for a Taunt onto the Porygon slot. So maybe we do switch out into Metagross right now. Because then, yeah, I pressure with more offense, and I can also max Lightning Tapu Fini next turn. So the good thing is I don't really care about your special defense boosts, and this second Calm Mind, if you go for it, only brings you back to neutral anyway. There's Metagross. Oh, they actually Volt Switch. Wow, nicely done. Okay. That's actually a very good play. I really thought they would go for Taunt there. What's interesting now is if you bring out the Necrozma, I actually end up activating Weakness Policy. It looks like what's happening right now. So the first question then, or not the first, but one of the questions is, are you Weakness Policy? That's great damage from 1,000 arrows. Looks like a crit onto Fini. Yeah. Okay, they're Weakness Policy. That was an incredibly risky turn by them, because if I just stayed in and Foul Play Thundurus, I feel like you just lose the game immediately, but it ends up working out for them. We're going to Moonblast into Necrozma, or sorry, into Zygarde. That's fine. Oof, now I'm curious, how fast is your Necrozma relative to us? And what's your moveset? Reflect wears off, so I think our best play here is to protect. Oh, I can't protect, I'm taunted, right? Okay, I'm actually not a substitute here. I can't sub, I'm taunted. I have to 1,000 arrows or switch out. Let's turn a Misty Terrain. Okay, I think I'm willing to just 1,000 Arrows and max Quake here. Yeah, that last turn feels a little bit frustrating, because if I had just stayed in and foul played, I think the game's just over immediately. They switch Fini out probably into Landorus? Oh, they actually go into Thundurus, okay. Are we faster than Necrozma? That'd be nice. It's a pleasant surprise if so. Because then it would mean we get a 1,000 Arrows and a Steel Spike before anything can happen. Okay, so we're gonna max Metagross here. What? Okay, they didn't end up max. Oh, it's because they want to max the Landorus on their end. That makes sense. What? I didn't even know that Pokemon got Dragon Dance. Doesn't this just KO? Oh my gosh. This is a crazy game. What? Okay. Dragon Dance Necrozma, they hang on with like 5 HP. I mean, wow. The margins were so razor thin here. I still have to respect their maxing Landorus in this late game. Zygarde actually wins pretty hard for us. Maybe you have Earthquake. I don't think plus 3 EQ even KOs us. I'm going to Hailstorm here, I think, because I like the idea of setting up Hail. I don't mind switching out into Porygon right now. And Hailstorming the Thundurus slot. Wow. Dragon Dance. Okay, so we bring in Porygon. No way. Wow. Dragon Dance Morning Sun. That is wild. I mean, losing a game like this feels so frustrating because like there were so many opportunities where like the Necrozma was just in KO range, but oh my goodness. I did not see that coming in the slightest. Very cool. Wow. Okay, well this turn's interesting. Do you finally max in Steel Spike Porygon? Does a plus 3 Steel Spike even KO? I think I have to Trick Room here. And... wow. No way. They do finally commit the Dynamax. Okay. I don't think Porygon survives this turn. I also think it's likely they probably doubled up into it. What a Necrozma set. Dragon Dance, Morning Sun, super, super bulky with Weakness Policy. Alright, plus 3 Steel Spike. Do you have enough damage to KO Porygon? Yeah, alright, I think that's game over then, unless we get a crit. That is, like, Morning Sun, I was thinking, you know, they don't have recovery, we're good here, but nope, they had recovery. That's unbelievable, wow. You know what, that's a really cool tech, though, so... even if I had Max Quaked the Necrozma that turn, it wouldn't have KO'd. I would have needed to stay in and potentially doubled up into it. Even with the double up, I think it may have been bulky enough to actually survive both attacks. Yeah, they doubled up on a Porygon anyway. This is a good play. If we survived, like, foul play there probably would have been the correct play instead. That's just unbelievable. Wow, what a set. That's really, really cool. Okay. This game's not over, though. We can certainly still win. Because they can't heal right now, which is, like, the main advantage for us. It feels so sad. Like, their Necrozma is literally at, like, 1 HP. Oh, my gosh. They Dragon Dance, so they're obviously faster than Zygarde. Probably just Steel Spike Zygarde. I think I can go for a double protect into a crit here. Maybe they just make the read and then target Metagross here. What a team. Kudos, kudos. Yeah, it is going to be Steel Spike. You know, ideally this like crits us through Protect and it actually puts us in range for our to transform. That actually might be the case. They didn't crit, but yeah. It's just now they get these defense boosts as well, which is so ugly. Like, we're doing no damage. Alright, Scald comes out. I was honestly expecting Heal Pulse from Fini at some point as well. Like, it feels like Hail's doing almost more damage. Is there any chance I can... you just bring out Landorus now, actually, right? Man, the early game felt so good for us as well. So if I were to replay this, I would just be, like, very aware of them actually switching into Necrozma at any point in the match. Because that was the main problem for us, in my opinion. But I just... The combination of Dragon Dance and Morning Sun is so rare. I don't think I've ever seen that in Necrozma. So, like... This is one of those times where you just go up against a set that, like, is pretty unorthodox and honestly very cool. So, kudos to my opponent. I would just bring out Landorus now. I don't think Thundurus offers us much, but they actually bring out Thundurus. Okay. Is there any chance we survive a +3 max Steel Spike onto Zygarde? Probably not. But if I go for a double protect, it doesn't accomplish anything anyway. So, I think I'm just going to 1,000 Arrows and Stomping. Okay, it's another Steel Spike. Yep. Yeah. It's the third attack boost that also I think makes the difference. Wow. Fascinating team. This is one in which, like, you know, if I were to go up against this team comp, or now if I see Necrozma, Dragon Dance plus, like, Morning Sun is something that's on my radar. It's just something that I had never seen before until today. So, you know, sometimes you run into these sets and you just like, yeah, this is something I didn't even know existed. And so it's so cool. Like, I'm not surprised my opponent's so high ranked because this is such a strong team. I just feel so bad. I'm curious, like, the turn where we doubled up into Necrozma, whether or not we had the chance of actually knocking it out that turn. But now it's like, you know, 1 HP is all you need in order to get set up with this Pokemon. So what a fascinating game here. Really cool stuff. And Morning Sun makes so much sense, right? Because they have a Torkoal on the team as well. But this one feels frustrating because we had a really strong early game, it feels like. And the turn that they switched into Necrozma, like, we actually could have just won the game had I just clicked Foul Play that turn. Because it would have just been a +2 Foul Play into Necrozma. And even if that doesn't pick up the KO, then, you know, 1,000 Arrows will finish it off afterwards. So, yeah, this is definitely one of the most interesting teams we've run into this season. And this is exactly, like I think a good example of a really powerful team that also has some very unorthodox sets, right? Like, yeah, I've never seen Dragon Dance, Morning Sun, Necrozma before. Necrozma was so bulky enough to take 2 super effective attacks that turn, even when it was at like 55-60%-ish or so. And the turn Morning Sun came out, like, yeah, like, I was thinking the game was basically a wrap because I was like, okay, well, you know, you'll faint from Hail anyway. Even if I had Max Quake that turn, maybe Max Quaking, like, I wouldn't have done enough damage. Like, that Zygarde, or sorry, that Necrozma was just so bulky. So, yeah. If I were to replay this, like, the main turn that felt really frustrating was the turn they switched the Thundurus out into Necrozma immediately. And it was relatively low risk for me to stay in with Porygon and just click Foul Play onto Thundurus that turn. Since Thundurus is, you know, probably not going to have Protect, so we either get a knockout onto Thundurus, a knockout onto Landorus, or do a ton of damage into Necrozma in that turn. So that was a missed opportunity, and it punishes me very heavily in the end. And so I'm a little bit sad I didn't get that turn correctly. And yeah, if we had just Foul Played there, I think the game was probably just immediately over from that position. But perhaps my opponent, you know, they found a really tight comeback there, and they were able to identify what they needed to do, got the Dragon Dance off, and then managed to pull off the sweep with Necrozma in the end game. So the upside is now I've learned about this set, I've learned about this team, you know, won't make the same mistake at least going forward, and we'll have to play around Dragon Dance, you know, in the future. But that's got to be one of the coolest sets I've seen. And I love that because the question of the day for today was, what restricted do you think is being slept on in Series 11? And after that game, yeah, Dragon Dance plus Morning Sun Necrozma is certainly it. So kudos to my opponent, and really cool stuff there. So both of the games were pretty long today, so we're just going to have a 2-game episode. But thank you so much as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and I'll see you all soon. All right, peace.